Salt will absolutely kill your Ford truck. Even though these trucks are made of aluminum, they still fall victim to the corrosive nature of the salty environment in the northern states. But the way that salt affects these trucks is a little bit different than normal vehicles. Being that the bodies on these trucks are all aluminum, salt does not really react too much with the body. So even though this truck has bumps and scrapes, those bumps and scrapes have never spread and became cancerous or corrosive or anything like that. Not at least not on the body. But we still have steel frames. They will corrode, but not to the extent where it's not solid, functional, or anything like that. But you will get some surface rust, particularly on work trucks and trucks that are in salty environments. But on these Fords, you have to watch out for the exhaust manifolds. Look at this thing. It looks like it's been on the bottom of the ocean. Check it out. If this manifold were to crack, we're looking at having to pull the engine out of the truck in order to repair the manifold. So what we are going to talk about in today's video is how do we protect our Fords from salt and what will ultimately become an issue with these vehicles as they're used in a corrosive environment. One of the big problem areas with these trucks is moisture getting onto the wiring harness. Now, the way these are designed with their flat floors, they've really maximized the floor space. But what they've done is put the harness at the lowest point in the truck. Now, when you look here at this harness, you can see that there's, even though it's not winter right now, there's a little bit of salt flake here. On the harness, because if you bring your workers in your truck and they have snow on their shoes, yeah, they're kicking off their shoes, whatever, they're kicking the snow off, but it's not perfect. I mean, if you're in and out of here a couple of times a day, it's not gonna be perfect. You're not gonna get all of it off. You're gonna get snow and water moisture building up down into this area where it cannot escape. So that is a problem with these trucks, is your harness, if you get too much moisture in your truck, will become saturated and underwater. Now, most cases it's okay, but if there's any holes in your wiring, then it's going to eat at the copper inside of this wiring. This is wrapped, but this wrapping is not watertight. Furthermore, if anything spills in this truck, say someone spills, I don't know, a fountain drink or something down here, it's going to end up seeping down and getting trapped in your truck and trapped in your wiring, and all this is going to be an issue. So the way that salt hurts these trucks, the way the corrosion hurts these trucks, is it gets in that wire harness. So if you're going to plow snow with one of these trucks, this is what, in my opinion, needs to be done. What we've done is fully disassembled this side of the truck. Right now I'm just taking off the panel, but when this was done, everything was disassembled, and we've wrapped our harness with a UL listed really good electrical tape. It's really wide, so when it wraps around the harness, it covers the entire harness and wraps fully around the harness, protecting it from the elements. So you can't see all of it because it goes up into this area, but it is all covered up and protected. So any residual moisture that gets onto this harness will shed off of it and not soak the harness. Now, this isn't rated to go underwater or anything like that, but it's just enough so that this harness stays dry no matter what. As long as the water doesn't build up in this valley higher than the harness, then it won't become affected by the water that hits it. But in order to actually do that, we had to take all the trim off, remove the seat, peel the carpet up, and extend this wrap around our harness all the way up into this area here up under the seat. And we also put some drain holes on our plastic tray right here so that moisture could fall out of this tray. It won't sit in here and harbor moisture up against the wire harness. Another thing we've done is added a point for, or a way for moisture to get out of our truck. So check this out. We're going to pour this water not on our harness but off to the side here, where it just goes down. And normally the way this truck leaves the factory, all this moisture would just sit in here, and eventually if enough moisture gets in there, it's going to submerge your harness. But not on our trucks, because we made a slight modification. Up in this area, I'm not going to disassemble the whole thing, but we put a drain hole going straight down up in this area right here. Now I'll show you how this looks coming out of the truck from underneath. the way that it looks coming out of the truck is you can see that moisture is just dripping out. So whenever moisture is into this truck, it actually comes out of the truck. It has a way out. Moisture doesn't sit into this truck. Now, as far as moisture getting into the truck from this hole, not likely, because this hole doesn't actually go all the way through to the inside of the truck. So the harness is suspended up out of that trough via the plastic tray that it sits in. Sits up out of the water in the plastic tray. So if water gets into this trough, it inadvertently drains out because we've added a way for the water to get out of the truck. Under normal circumstances, water just sits in there, and you've seen, maybe you've had it happen where you can hear water sloshing in the truck as you drive. If this truck develops a water leak, it will actually work its way to the floor and work its way out. And that's kind of why I did this. This truck had a water leak. We couldn't figure out where it was coming from. We eventually figured it out, but the whole truck was just filling with water. And then you look in here, your entire harness is underwater. And it was causing some issues. It was causing some issues with the stereo where it wasn't working properly. So when these harnesses get submerged in water, they start to have some expensive problems. Being that we've put this drainage in here, as you can see, all that moisture is already drained out. There's less chance of damage. Now, the perfect situation would be the combination of the both. With the wire harness totally wrapped, this wrapping isn't all that great, but with the harness totally wrapped up, sealed, and with the drainage added, the truck is much better protected from moisture and salt and corrosion. Now the aluminum bodies, huge improvement, because at the end of the day, you can fix wiring, you can fix all that stuff. Like, even if you have a short that you can't find in that harness, it's expensive, but you can put a whole harness in this truck, replace it. When your truck starts to rust, you can't fix it. There's no way to fix rust aside from replacing whole panels. Say your bed's rusty, okay, you can get a new bed. That's a problem though. Rust is like cancer. These things, these electrical things can be fixed. That's why I still believe that Fords are the best work trucks. It's the only company, only brand out there that's made the investment in full aluminum body vehicles. It means that the body will last such a long time. The frames will still rust, but frame rust is a very slow, long process. I mean, typically to even think about frame rust or worry about frame rust, you're talking 20 years, 25 years, 30 years down the road where frame rust will really become an issue. It takes a long time to rust, but they do run a very good e-coat on the frames on these trucks. So even these frames will last even longer. And with a little bit of maintenance, you'll be okay with the frame rusting. You won't have the e-coat on these trucks are so much better nowadays that it's if you maintain the truck, it's gonna be a good while before anything goes bad. But a couple other things that we do with our trucks if we spread salt with them, so we hang a big rubber flap down the rear of the truck, covers up the back end of the truck so that rot doesn't get up under the truck. Salt spreaders really kill these trucks, so we hang a big rubber flap down underneath below the truck so that it is protected from salt. We spray wax our trucks constantly, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to actually fluid film the truck, which is something I just haven't done. It's been a little bit too much for me to do, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. Another thing that I need to do and I want to do is I want to come up with a template to fill in this gap. This gap here that lets all this water and corrosion into the motor area, it's killing these trucks. And I've kind of slipped on the exhaust manifold maintenance, but I want to come up with a way to finish off this area so that you don't have this huge opening. Maybe like some horse stall mat or something like that that can just drape down Maybe go between the brake line here and up so that you don't end up with all this corrosion going into your exhaust manifolds. I mean, look at that. You look in there, it looks bad. Let's go in there deep and look at what we've got. You can see those studs are not looking good. So how far in there can we get? It's not looking good. So something that I want to look out for, exhaust manifolds. You can see the heat shields fell off of these. Here's the heat shield right here. It's just hanging out in the engine because it's supposed to be up there like that. That probably would have helped protect this thing a little better, but it's free. It's just here. Can we get it out of there? Maybe it wouldn't rattle. But yeah, protect your Fords. Stay tuned to the channel because we're going to be coming up with a way to cover. We're going to be coming up with a way to cover up these exhaust manifolds better than what they are. But anyway, my name is Sean. This is DS Trucks. Hope to see you in the next video. Over and out.